Good evening, I'm Cherise Halsell, and here's what's ahead for you on 7 News tonight. The real story of what went down with the ill-fated Coast Guard vessel that sent 5 law enforcement personnel into the water yesterday. And the Big Waterloo Cruise and Port Project. It met major resistance last night. We'll have a recap of the public consultation. And tonight, the NGO community has weighed in against it. Plus, curfew coming tomorrow night. What are the streets saying about it? We'll sample public opinion. Also, how Scotiabank was sold. We'll tell you about the multiple special arrangements that made the deal go down. Plus, Ramen scarce in the city. We'll go shopping to find out why. These stories and much more are ahead tonight, so please stay tuned.
You've worked hard your whole life building your future, your family, your business, your home. And when you aren't around to safeguard your most beloved assets, you are at ease because you know they are protected by RF&G Insurance. For over 50 years, RF&G has been making sure business owners get back to work after an accident, and families get back into their homes quickly after a natural disaster. At RF&G, it's you who matters most. Visit us today and learn why it pays to get it right. RF&G Insurance, a Rowe Group company.
Every day, women and men in Belize become victims of gender-based violence, which results in emotional, sexual, financial, and physical abuse. Are you a survivor of gender-based violence and in imminent danger? Don't be afraid. There are ways you can get help. You can call our free emergency numbers at 0800 AWAY OUT or text or WhatsApp 672-9628 or call 911 to make a report at any time of the day or night. A police officer will assist you. You can also contact the Women and Family Support Department for Women Abuse or the Department of Human Services for Child Abuse in your district to discuss options for temporary housing or medium to long-term care and psychosocial support. You can also go directly to the family or magistrate court and obtain a protection order that restrains the abuser from coming in contact with you, or apply for an occupation and tenancy order that orders the abuser to leave the home for the period of time they see fit. Visiting your nearest hospital or polyclinic for medical attention or further referrals is also something you can do. Together, we can end gender-based violence in Belize. We are here to help you. This message is brought to you by the National Women's Commission with funding from the Engender and Spotlight projects, with support from the Department of Youth Services.
Delicate, the beer of Belize.
On March 11th, the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 a pandemic. A pandemic means the virus is everywhere, but it might not be everywhere at the same time. If there are no cases in your area, it does not mean that there will never be cases in your area. Here's what you can do to delay the spread of COVID-19 in your community. Stay home unless it's absolutely necessary for you to go out. Practice physical distancing when you leave home. Wash your hands frequently using soap and water for at least 40 seconds or use alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Avoid contact with anyone who has fever, cough and cold, or flu-like symptoms. Obey quarantine, isolation, and curfew rules. Clean and disinfect frequently touched surfaces such as doorknobs, counters, phones, and tablets. Don't touch your eyes, nose, or mouth without first washing your hands. Help keep Belize safe.
Entertainment and gaming increases, so does the demand for bandwidth and faster speeds. If you're a gamer, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about extremely reliable, low latency, high-speed internet connection that is crucial for smooth gaming. A next-generation connection. That's why I chose next-gen high-speed internet for my streaming needs. They are by far the best internet service provider in Belize. NextGen has noticed the vast growth of gaming audience, and as an innovative company, they are the first broadband internet service providers powered by gamers. Now, they're taking the lead in providing a package that's just right for us gamers. So what are you waiting for? Sign up today.
Tonight, 7 News has learned additional details of how 2 police officers, 2 Coast Guard officers, and 1 scenes of crime technician were rescued after their boat took on water. Yesterday, Coast Guard Commandant Gregory Sabaranis told the media that the boat capsized and that the men were found by fishermen in the area. But the truth is that the 25-foot skiff took on water and sank. Reports reaching our newsroom say the vessel assigned for the mission may not have been the most seaworthy. Additionally, the Coast Guard loaded most of their equipment onto the back of the boat. That's why only 30 minutes into the journey, the boat began taking on water from the back. This happened around 10:45, which is when the distress call was made, but the officers were not found until 2:15. Additionally, reports to us say that only 4 life jackets were used and that a Coast Guard officer on board was not wearing any. Reports are that the 2 cops and the technician remained where they were while the Coast Guard officer swam away to find help. And while there was air and sea assets trying to find them, eventually the rescue, which happened south of State Bank, was affected by 6 fishermen who were coming back from diving. According to one of the rescuers, Carl Main, they were first thought the men were divers, but soon learned that they were in danger. They first rescued the police officers and then found the Coast Guard officers, and just in time, since the woman who was without a life jacket was cramping up and in immediate danger of drowning.
When women come back, right, we say 3 person, they drift. So we got check for it, so what, then while we pick up that thing, they tell we 2 more person that are distance. The thing we had to make nice though. Them they are distance like about 3 minutes away. So we had to help there, and then go pick up the other one. When we get the other two, we got pick up them with some the Coast Guard when we burn up on the side, and the other lady, she never got a no life vest, so well he made try bring up back, she look at jungle, so I had to hurry to try bring up, and police while he make even move. I had to grab the police in the boat, I think. After that, we started heading, and I think we may try wave down the Coast Guard boat, but none of them really pay no attention to it, so they just continue. The Astrom helicopter may pass over we that just pass right over we, and then gone all the way like so much miles out, and then come back in before it, so we end up escort them all the way to the base and spend like about 2 hours there. When we first think today, we think that like them there, like training or something. We think our boat let they out there, the train. When we get closer to the situation, they start asking help out till the boat sink, I think. So we already help the pull in thing.
What's that like, knowing that you had to, rescue, police officers and Coast Guard?
We just feel good knowing that we may there for help there.
The divers who saved the men said that they were commended and given gas for their brave efforts. The names of the other divers are Norris Main, the captain Mario Main, Dylan Belisle, Melvin McKay, and Keaton Westby. Before we got that information, we had a chance to speak with the acting commandant of the Coast Guard about the status of the law enforcement personnel who were injured yesterday. Commandant Greg Soberanis told us that the Coast Guardsman suffered fuel burns to 20% of his body when the vessel capsized.
I was informed that he's doing well, and that he's going to recover. I was also informed that it was about 20% of his body that was affected by the fuel burn. So we're thankful, as I mentioned yesterday, we're truly thankful that he survived the ordeal, and as the Coast Guard family, we pray for him and we wish him a speedy recovery.
Any update on the female cop who was in the hospital?
Yes, well, she was taken to the hospital because the conditions, like I said, the water, she was experiencing cramps. So we just wanted her to go there for observation and to ensure that everything is okay. But again, I've been told that she's going to be fine.
The Coast Guard intends to show thanks and appreciation to the civilian vessel that effected the rescue. And while those officers were in distress, so are conservation-minded Belizeans after learning that the expansion project for the Port of Belize has come back to the forefront. The Ashcroft Alliance Waterloo Investment Holdings Limited is planning to expand the lands owned by the port to create a new cargo area and bulk cargo facilities, as well as include new cruise terminal facilities. The cruise terminal includes 2 new piers that will allow for the shoreside berthing of 4 Oasis-class cruise ships. Several other features and facilities will be added to entice more tourists to come off the cruise ships. And that's the goal, according to the consultants for the project. More tourism means more revenue for the country. During last night's public consultation for the project, they tried to sell this to the general public, but received plenty of pushback from citizens concerned about the environmental impacts that the project will cause. Courtney Menzies has a recap of the consultation.
Environmentally conscious Belizeans have lodged their complaints about Waterloo's expansion project for the Port of Belize at last night's virtual public consultation hosted by the DOE. The 4-hour-long consultation kicked off with a presentation from Waterloo consultant Dr. Dione Chamberlain Miranda and Alan Herrera, the principal consultant. Dr. Chamberlain started by debunking misconceptions about the project, including the much supposed 10 million cubic meters of unsuitable material that will be dredged and then dumped into the sea near the barrier reef. According to Chamberlain, that figure is inaccurate.
The very first thing that I'd like to state also is that the actual dredging volume is less than 7.5 cubic meters and not the 10 million cubic meters which has been sent out in the media. It is, and actually less than 5 million will be placed offshore, so it's not the gravity of the 10 that was mentioned in the media as well.
Whether it's 10 million or 5 million, environmental NGOs such as Oceana and Fragments of Hope and the wider public have expressed concern about the dredging. This dredging is to deepen the access channel to make it 12 meters deep and 190 meters wide, and also to allow the turning basin to be 550 meters wide. Herrera explained why this is necessary.
It is important that good facilities are there so that the ships that come into the port to trade and to take out our products abroad, that we don't have to restrict certain ships and we don't have to exclude any of those ships. And so it is very important that the port is deepened so that these larger vessels can come in.
But what the consultants are also claiming is that no major damage will actually be done to the reef. In fact, Luis Prieto of Piedroba Consulting Group said that the material that will be dredged can be used in alternative ways.
All the material that's being pumped into the EPZ area, which is the upland area near the BWLS lagoons, which is just south of the Port Loyola area. All of that material, once dewatered, will either be used for beneficial use in the port facility itself, or it will be made available to the general public for their own beneficial use.
In addition, they are also claiming that there will be no harm to marine life, nor will there be an impact on the livelihood of fishermen.
Within the area that is to be dredged, it's by no stretch of the imagination rich habitat for marine species. We mentioned the high turbidity levels in that area. So the habitats are very sparse, they are very poor. And it's not an area that is known to any Belizean as an important fishery area. It might be a migratory route.
But the public is not inclined to believe them. One of the various Zoom calls during the consultation was from a frustrated resident who said that the consultants were essentially lying to the public.
You guys are trying to insult our intelligence, really and truly. Talking about there's no potential impact, to the reef from the proposed dumping activity. That is totally absurd. I just think, given the fact that we just managed to work with the government to get the Belize Barrier Reef off the World Heritage in danger list, I think this is such a stupid move to even entertain the idea of dumping dredge spoil in the marine environment and so close to the reef. And don't tell me that modeling has shown that it won't impact the reef.
And while residents paid keen attention to the consultation, so did the CEO in the Ministry of the Blue Economy. Kennedy Correa also called in to let the consultants know that they need to be involved in the process.
The mandate of our ministry is to ensure that there is perfect equilibrium between the use of our ocean resources for economic growth and the protection and conservation of our rich oceanic ecosystem. We are very keen on learning more about this EIA, and please keep in mind that when this project started, there was no Ministry of the Blue Economy. But now we are here, and we must be a part of these important deliberations and decisions.
But while the consultants insisted that Belize's status as a World Heritage Site will not be affected and that tourism stakeholders should not be concerned, the takeaway from the consultation is that Belizeans are closely paying attention and are lobbying against the expansion project for the Port of Belize. Courtney Menzies, 7 News.
Regular citizens are not the only ones pushing back against the idea of the cruise port. Today, several environmental NGOs signed a letter of objection addressed to the Prime Minister, John Briceño. These NGOs include WWF, BTIA, Oceana Belize, Audubon Society, Fragments of Hope, and more. In the letter, they raised 3 important points. The first is that ocean dumping should not even be considered for Belize because of the dangers it poses to the barrier reef and other marine life, and the idea should be abandoned immediately. The second is that a comprehensive cruise port strategy should be prepared by an independent consultant before the continuation of any ports currently in development. And finally, they're asked that the laws be revised so that the public can play a larger role in the management of shared natural resources. Spokesperson for the NGOs, Nadia Boud, from World Wildlife Fund, responded to some of the claims made last night at the public consultation. We spoke to her via Zoom.
They made a lot of false statements, and I may touch on a couple of those. One of their technical experts mentioned the fact that, it's the same material that was washed up or brought to the sea that will be then be dredged up and dumped back into the sea. They didn't even acknowledge the fact that these are near shore material that over time have been impacted by land-based sources of runoff, pollutants. Over the years, you have the accumulation of heavy metals and other serious hazardous pollutants that will be dug up, and then they are proposing to dump that on land. At sea. We are recommending that instead of dumping at sea, to dump it on land. For example, one of the experts also mentioned that the reason that they are not considering the land portion is because the material is hazardous. They actually mentioned that the material is hazardous, and they would have to contemplate making sure that all the water is evaporate from whatever they dredge up before even considering transporting anywhere. And the mere fact that they mentioned that it shows that the material is hazardous. And if we think about the marine environment, which is very, very sensitive to any minor changes in water quality, in nutrient input, it can result in die-off of the reef. It could kill marine life. Plus, we don't know what could be accumulated in the tissue of marine organisms, commercial ones, fishes, and how that would affect our health if we consume them. Another issue, they keep on mentioning that that the area is a dead zone. Using some information for all the data. We spoke to them about the impact of that area on the foraging grounds and migratory paths for manatees. Those were not effectively addressed. And not to mention the impact that will happen on the mangroves and flooding, potential impact on flooding in that particular area too, no? But as I mentioned before, one of our key concerns is the dumping at sea. It has just been 2 years since we got off the UNESCO World Heritage in Danger List. I work for World Wildlife Fund. We work closely with the government to make sure that the country was able to address those indicators that the World Heritage Site Committee had asked the country to address in order for them to be considered to be taken off the list. So we were able to do that. The country celebrated, and it's just 2 years later that they're proposing something like this. Oh, come on. Australia has been in danger list because of the similar thing of dumping within their marine environment. If we pursue a project like this, this will set precedence. If one project could do it, who's to say that many other projects won't try to do it as well?
Just before 6 tonight, the Prime Minister responded to the letter, simply saying that he will forward it to the appropriate ministers. He added too that the project has not been approved as yet and must go through its entire process before it can even get to Cabinet for consideration. A release from the Fisheries Department also stated that they will continue their review of the EIA on the project. And when we come back, effect, you'll hear what the streets are saying about it and how they rate the PM's performance after 2 weeks, and how Scotiabank was sold. We'll tell you about the cute and cozy arrangements to make this multi-million-dollar transaction go down.
Looking for a paint which offers durability, fast-drying action, easy application, long-lasting protection, and low odor? Then Coronado is the brand you need. Choose from eggshell, flat, or semi-gloss finishes for your home's interior or exterior. You can also protect your deck from the harsh outdoor elements with Coronado Maxum Deck and Siding Stain. We also have primers, masonry, and metal coatings for other projects around your home. Benny's Paint Center has the paint you need in the color and finish you want. Enjoy your newly painted home with long-lasting, durable Coronado paints. Available at Benny's. Quality and savings.
You've worked hard your whole life building your future, your family, your business, your home. And when you aren't around to safeguard your most beloved assets, you are at ease because you know they are protected by RF&G Insurance. For over 50 years, RF&G has been making sure business owners get back to work after an accident, and families get back into their homes quickly after a natural disaster. At RF&G, it's you who matters most. Visit us today and learn why it pays to get it right. RF&G Insurance, a Rowe Group company.
women and men in Belize become victims of gender-based violence, which results in emotional, sexual, financial, and physical abuse. Are you a survivor of gender-based violence and in imminent danger? Don't be afraid. There are ways you can get help. You can call our free emergency numbers at 0800 AWAY OUT or text or WhatsApp 672-9628 or call 911 to make a report at any time of the day or night. A police officer will assist you. You can also contact the Women and Family Support Department for women abuse or the Department of Human Services for child abuse in your district to discuss options for temporary housing or medium to long-term care and psychosocial support. You can also go directly to the family or magistrate court and obtain a protection order that restrains the abuser from coming in contact with you, or apply for an occupation and tenancy order that orders the abuser to leave the home for the period of time they see fit. Visiting your nearest hospital or polyclinic for medical attention or further referrals is also something you can do. Together, we can end gender-based violence in Belize. We are here to help you. This message is brought to you by the National Women's Commission with funding from the Engender and Spotlight projects, with support from the Department of Youth Services.
Delicate, the beer of Belize.
On March 11th, the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 a pandemic. A pandemic means the virus is everywhere, but it might not be everywhere at the same time. If there are no cases in your area, it does not mean that there will never be cases in your area. Here's what you can do to delay the spread of COVID-19 in your community. Stay home unless it's absolutely necessary for you to go out. Practice physical distancing when you leave home. Wash your hands frequently using soap and water for at least 40 seconds or use alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Avoid contact with anyone who has fever, cough and cold, or flu-like symptoms. Obey quarantine, isolation, and curfew rules. Clean and disinfect frequently touched surfaces such as doorknobs, counters, phones, and tablets. Don't touch your eyes, nose, or mouth without first washing your hands. Help keep Belize safe.
Stay safe and submit your sickness benefit claim form electronically. Follow these 4 steps. Step 1. Obtain your medical certificate. At consultation, the doctor certifies your days of illness and provides you with a medical certificate. Step 2. Fill out your sickness benefit form. Complete all the fields in parts 1 to 4 on the front page of the sickness benefit form. Step 3. Request your salaries record form. Contact your employer for your salaries record form. Step 4. Submit your sickness benefit claim form. Scan or take a clear picture of the sickness benefit form, salaries record, and proof of bank account. Email the documents to claims@socialsecurity.org.bz within 14 days. You will receive an email reply confirming receipt of your claim. After the submission of all documents, your claim is processed for payment to your account. For any COVID-related illnesses, contact the Ministry of Health for further guidance. Social Security Board, safeguarding you, your family, your future.
If it is you and your family are expected to evacuate, then prepare for it. When a hurricane watch is issued, you should review your emergency plans and supplies and check to see if any items are missing. Make sure you have supplies in your home and an emergency kit in your car. Turn on the radio or television for weather updates. Fill sinks and bathtubs with water as an extra supply for washing. Fill your car's gas tank. If no vehicle is available, make arrangements with friends or family for transportation. Secure any items outside which may cause injury or damage to property during high winds. Secure any structurally unstable buildings and tie down loose building materials. Cover windows and doors with plywood or boards and place large strips of masking tapes on the windows to reduce the risk of breakage and flying glass. Put livestock and family pets in a safe area. If possible, put vehicles under cover. Adjust the thermostat on refrigerators and freezers to the coolest possible temperature. Adzalat Audio and Video Production Company wants you and your family to be safe this hurricane season. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed. Brought to you by Adzalat Audio and Video Production Company and this station.
Last night, there were 2 coronavirus deaths. One, a man from the Toledo district, and the other, a woman from the Orange Walk district. No details were shared about their ages. There have been a total of 131 deaths since March. A total of 317 samples were processed yesterday. And out of that number, 92 of them were identified as new COVID patients, for a positivity rate of 29%. The district with the highest number of newly detected cases was Cayo, with 28. Following behind was Corozal, with 19 new patients, and the Belize district with 18. There is some good news, as 7 News has learned that starting tomorrow, all police officers attached to Eastern Division will be able to do rapid COVID-19 testing at a facility in Belize City. With last night's 2 more deaths, there have now been 72 COVID-related deaths in the first 27 days of November. A sad and sobering statistic, if ever there was one. So with COVID cases climbing and the death toll soaring, the answer for the immediate short term is a curfew. It starts tomorrow night at 9 until 5 in the morning and will run for 21 days. We've all been through this before, multiple times between March and June. But since then, for most of us, our perception of COVID-19 has changed. We all know it is dangerous and deadly, but it's no longer the faraway threat that it was at the first half of the year. Right now, it is a clear and very present danger, which we all have to find a way to live with. So, how does the public feel about the curfew? Are they wary or resigned? I went to the streets today to ask about that.
COVID is affecting everybody, internationally and locally, right? And what we have to do in this country, Belizean particularly, we have to be careful. We have to follow the protocol. We have to continue to follow the protocol and keep our distance. You see, I mean, as the case may be, without that we're in trouble. Because in my opinion, I feel like it's in the air. You see, I mean, and it's affecting us. That's why I come prepared. You see, I mean, as the case may be, that's why and if we don't watch it, we're going to get messed up. You see, I mean, so we have to follow protocol. We can't put too much emphasis on that. Belize Creole, we're hard. We're hard. We don't listen until it drop on your door. then you get messed up. You know what I mean?
March, I do come, I get the 150 from government, but no, we're not again. No, I'm not get that again. So it's hard.
I want to tell you about the COVID-19. Drink rum. That's how the healing.
This thing about just cleanliness, mommy. You keep clean, you know. You keep your distance. Things that don't have to be come around. It's like even company cover up good habits. So the very same thing. If you don't keep clean, why should I have you around me?
Back in March, when the COVID just came out, it was under control when we had the first lockdown. But from since then, I realize it's getting worse now. We're still having border jumpers. We're still having people like, they're not social distancing, they're having parties and gatherings and so forth. So they're putting our lives at risk.
I know when this thing I done. Right now the hospital, a lot of patients there and it's full right now. But I try to get medicine for it. I don't know what happened. I know when this thing and done.
I have no problem with the curfew as well. I think near the curfew prior to the PUP or UDP have one, and the PUP in office and the UDP in office. The measures, sometimes maybe people, the grassroots people want to say, boy, you're the black me for go and get me private time and anything. So at the same time, the measures, we have to live with it and we move beyond that.
2 weeks ago, man, we got through strain already, and everybody like got job and things with us, so we feel it all right.
We as young people, we don't like listen, so no, we are still bleach the curfew, we are still do what we want. Because the younger generation after that, a problem to deal with.
It will put us right deeper into jeopardy because there will be partyings, there will be social gatherings and all type of things. So I don't think it's a good thing for them to just have it for 2 weeks. I think they should extend it.
A lot of people they walk close to each other every day. People they bump up against each other. Right now, this is a serious disease that to make it get critical. So I think like that's the right thing to cause like people hard head right now. Nobody know they practice social distance. Everybody they gather up every day. So I think that's a good thing.
Something have to be in place, you know, because personally we all know that some of people are stiff-necked. So in time of drastic measures need to be in place. So I don't blame them, you know. We have to have some kind of discipline.
The people are rebellious because not much people are surviving, right? But I'm not into crime. Right? So if the government or the law pass a law, you have to respect it and abide by it because you cannot beat the law.
Sir, the government put in new COVID measures and a new curfew. You feel like you can work this time?
That's not a difficult question to answer because you see how the most Belizeans, you see the attitude they have towards the whole thing. When you look on Facebook and you see all of the comments people talk about, then they try to control you. I mean, a difficult situation to answer correctly. It should help, but it all depends on the people.
Because now this curfew ends the week before Christmas. What do you think people end once the curfew ends?
Really enjoy the freedom, newfound freedom, and then you know where that will lead to.
How much do you think people broke out once a curfew done?
I like the curfew because they keep away the children off of the street, keep away violence, which is good. I feel more safer.
What do you think people do when that curfew ends?
Well, no, crowded up, then they shop and be hostile at this time and can't even get in there. So to be honest, the curfew need because right now you see what happened, right? We need to buckle down. I don't lose my friend at the beginning of the weekend. Yeah, you're not correct, man. He not the future of Belize. He's 20 and he get mashed down just like that. It hurt my heart, right? But whatever we have to do, we have to buckle down. That's also we learn. The good have to pay for the bad, right?
And while I was out there, I also did a sort of rapid test on how PM John Briceño is doing after 15 days at the helm. How do you think Johnny did do?
As he get in, it disappoint me. Mr. Ashcroft own way again. Imagine if BTL would have only 52 million, Causeway $500 million. Imagine with a port. Imagine with that one Causeway. I mean, I had hopes, but he mashed it.
You can't assess them right away, not even 100 days yet. You see, I mean, you have to give them time. You see, I mean, to get the act together. This is not an overnight thing. You see, I mean, so you don't expect them to start implementing. They will start implementing things, but it's a slow process. Give them 100 days. After 100 days, come ask me a question again, and I will tell you why it's good or bad or negative.
Sir, we have a new government. How you feel Johnny did do?
Well, miss, at this moment, you have to give the new elected leader an opportunity to go ahead and lead the nation. Within certain time, you also have to hold them responsible because they came with very big initiative. At the same time, the initiative should be what they said everybody should win.
Mommy, I want to tell you about Johnny. Johnny does start the ball, you know what I mean? He start the ball, but the man under a serious condition because the value of the money disappear. The man under several pressure.
Just get in, right? So we have to get a lead time for make it catch up.
It is good, very good, because we need a change. 3 years of the United Democratic Party, I believe that God sees it and speaks through the people, as the Governor General said it. And we must respect as whatsoever goes so far. We know that we are not perfect, the government are not perfect, but yet still we see Johnny doing good so far because we can see business opening, cattling moving, we can see everything is moving.
Well, so far, I don't really see much, but you have to give people a break and see when they to do the same way too. So I just hope they do the right thing, and that's all I want to do the right thing, because right now a lot of things they happen. You need young people in this, and you need people who like they done the in this already. You need freshmen, so they freshmen you need.
One of our representatives, Honorable Anthony Mala, my brother personally told me he's in quarantine, so some things have to go on pause. We have to have patience.
To be honest, I grew up in a true blue family, right? So I don't have no problem with the man, right? I voted blue, and I willing to give him a second chance at making for the economy better, right? So you up to now, we don't give him a chance, so you up to now to finish it, right? A man is as good as his word, so I follow on.
I hope you do good and pray for the Almighty too, right? Because all of that one, we got through a thing too, right? So if we love one another, bring the healing, right?
And while the early reviews for the new Prime Minister aren't exactly raving, more seasoned observers might say we've got to give him some time. After all, the ship of state is navigating through a rocky reef right about now. But some of the public's raised eyebrows have to do with the Belize Bank acquisition of Scotiabank, which went through quick fast, just 1 week after the election, after it had been first proposed in June. The transaction, which creates the biggest single bank in Belize, is very much in the public interest, but has not exactly been attended by a shining light of transparency. In fact, there's been some secretive language deployed, so Jules Vasquez has been digging to see how the deal went down. Here's his report.
This is how the Central Bank of Belize looked from outside on November the 18th. Quite nondescript, but inside big things were happening, as the board, or a semblance of it, was reportedly meeting to decide on whether to approve the Belize Bank acquisition of the Bank of Nova Scotia. But did the board even have quorum? The law says that the board of directors shall consist of no less than 3 nor more than 4 other members. But it couldn't have that quorum because 3 of the members, attorneys Vanessa Rettridge and Nigel Ebanks, along with diplomat Pat Andrews, had already resigned, as per the request of the new Prime Minister.
First, I'm asking that all these appointed persons, the statutory boards, to follow protocol, tradition, that they should tender their resignations.
And they did, leaving the Central Bank Board without the stated quorum of appointed members. But 7 News is reliably informed that the Central Bank received a legal opinion from an attorney for a related party to the transaction, explaining how the meeting could still legally be held. Apparently it was, and the acquisition was approved. But a craftily worded cabinet release says, quote, Joy Grant, governor of the Central Bank of Belize, had informed Prime Minister Briceño that at a meeting held on the 18th November 2020, that the central bank granted the approval of the merger between the Belize Bank Limited with the Bank of Nova Scotia Limited. The cabinet noted that under the Domestic Banks and Financial Institutions Act, this approval was granted by the Central Bank of Belize and not the Minister of Finance, end quote. The paragraph does not say who met, whether it was the board or the bank executives, only that approval was granted. And then in an attempt to put distance between the new government and the controversial transaction, the release says, quote, approval was granted by the Central Bank of Belize and not the Minister of Finance. Short for don't blame Briceño. As an odd afterthought, the release adds, quote, the cabinet also decided that it would move promptly to appoint a new board of directors for the Central Bank of Belize, which alludes to those 3 resignations. But that's only part of the story. The other part is the structure of the transaction itself, details of which are just coming to light. This internal document obtained by 7 News speaks to that. In a section headed as, quote, a foreign exchange commitment, it explains that Scotia's retained earnings, referred to here as excess capital, of $45 million will be deposited at the Scotia or Belize Bank and be sold back to Scotia in portions of $4.5 million quarterly. Sources tell us that this arrangement of getting out that foreign exchange will also be used to finance the purchase. So what's the bottom line? Super scarce US dollars from the banking system will finance the Ashcroft Alliance's bank purchase, taking precious hard currency out of circulation. The former governor of the bank warned about this possibility months ago.
The significant amount of built-up retained earnings that are sitting there. Right. There is no way I think Scotiabank is going to leave that there. So there has to be something that will happen after the acquisition as to how that built-up retained earnings will be treated and extracted over a period of time by Scotiabank.
The Central Bank of Belize yesterday posted a release discussing the sale, a release that we were told would have been posted from the start of the week. It says, quote, the Central Bank of Belize advises the public that its board of directors has granted approval for the Bank of Nova Scotia Limited to sell 100% of the common shares held by Scotia Caribbean Holdings Limited in Scotiabank Belize Limited, and for Caribbean Investment Holdings Limited to purchase SBL shares. Scotiabank Belize Limited and Belize Bank Limited are bound by a transition services agreement which will ensure a smooth transition post-acquisition of the shares. During the transition and for an interim period of 12 to 18 months, Scotiabank Belize Limited will operate under a changed name, Belize Bank Corporation Limited. The central bank conducted a comprehensive assessment of the proposed application to ensure that it will not be detrimental to the interests of depositors and customers and the stability of the financial system, end quote. And from high finance to what the poor people are eating. Lately, we've been hearing that ramen is scarce, and when you do find it, it's selling for 50% more. It's serious news for the many folks who get their daily meal from the 50-cent or 75-cent food package. And while ramen may not be exactly healthy eating, it is widely consumed. So I went looking into this shortage of the most popular brand at stores nearby. Here's what I found. Our search for ramen started at Channel 7's neighborhood grocery store, Midtown. But the only thing we found there was the brand that Ramen cognoscenti know as inferior. So, only Lucky? But Lucky tastes terrible. And while we bought these for 50 cents a piece, I still wanted the real thing. So we went to Sky Blue on King Street, where we found classic Maruchan ramen for the exorbitant price of $1. One of the stores further down King Street had it for 75 cents, which is acceptable, but not optimal for those used to paying 50 cents. The problem seems to be that ramen is scarce, not just in Belize, but in the United States and in Jamaica as well. And while it's not for everyone, you know, eat this? Everybody eat this, you don't grow up on this. Don't burn. Those with a ramen craving may find themselves having to settle for lackluster laki, even though ramen OGs know that Maruchan may be worth that extra 50 cents. Cherise Halsell, 7 News. Retailers we spoke to underscored that, as you heard, ramen is also scarce in the US, and that's because the whole world is on hard times, and ramen is the ultimate hard time food, so it's become scarce. Also, ramen prices in the US are up as much as 25 cents per pack. And we take a break now. When we come back, we'll tell you about the Coast Guard at 15 years old. The Belize Coast Guard celebrated 15 years of service as the law enforcement agency that protects the country's maritime borders. For the members of this armed force, it is always a time to reflect on how far they've progressed from November 2005, when they were first established, transitioning from what used to be the Belize Defense Force's Maritime Wing. Today's celebrations were a bit different, because they also had to welcome their new civilian bosses from the Briceño administration. The new ministers, Florencio Marin Jr. and Oscar Mira, and the new CEO, retired General Dario Tapia, made their first public appearances as the top officials in the Ministry of Defense and Border Security. The ministers declined the press encounter this afternoon, but here's how the CEO congratulated the Coast Guard on their 15th anniversary as an institution.
15 years is a long way from where they started, and as if you heard in speeches, they started at 50 and now they are just over 500. And I want to today congratulate on behalf of the ministry to the men and women of the Coast Guard for carrying out a stellar job in the naval defense of this country.
Today really and truly is a remarkable and proud moment for the Belize Coast Guard. 15 years of service to this nation, 15 years of service to the people and country of Belize. And we are proud of that. We are proud of the fact that as a maritime organization, we provide maritime security and safety for the people of Belize. And truly over the 15 years, the Coast Guard has grown leaps and bounds. And it has to do with, one, good leadership. Two, it has to do with great partnership. And three, the commitment of the men and women in the organization. And so all those components merge together to make us who we are and have been able to form the foundation for us and our organization and for our growth and development. And as you know, from the incept, we had General Boland, who was first at the helms of this organization, who handed the mantle of leadership to then Captain Boland, who became Admiral Boland. And most recent, in November last year, to Captain Bennett, whom we love, respect, and appreciate, value him greatly. In the UK studying, he now is at the helm of the Coast Guard and will now lead us into the new era, a new phase of the organization strategic development plan. One of the things that we are excited about, let me just say that we have seen the Coast Guard grow from 50 to over 500. We have seen our vessel fleet grow from 5 Colombian boats to now over 30 vessels of various types and sizes. One of the things that we look forward to is the development of Station Big Creek. You know, we really want to look at how we can develop a station there where we can expand our ability to respond to incidents at sea.
We also spoke to CEO Tapia about the nation's defense and how it will be carried out under the Briceño administration. We got the sense that the new CEO and his ministers are still in the process of catching up on everything related to the Ministry of Defense. But here are a few of the topics that the press asked Tapia about.
We'll know that we're currently orientating ourselves, the ministers and I, to our both services, the Belize Defense Force and the National Coast Guard. What I could tell you is that the strategic guidance that I've gotten from the minister, we will focus on 3 goals. Goal number 1 is to look after the welfare of the Coast Guard personnel and the Belize Defense Force, and also we look at accountability. Goal number 2 is to ensure that we carry out operational duties to the maximum to ensure that we have border territorial integrity and to have a safe and secure Belize. And goal number 3 is to engage in defense diplomacy with our international and regional partners, again, to ensure that we have a safe and secure Belize.
Sir, as it relates to the issues with the border, we know that the PUP, when they were in opposition, were very critical about the then government's approach to the issues that we have with Guatemalans.
Well, I will tell you, and I as the former commander of the Belize Defense Force, I am well in tune of how we deal with the Guatemalan incursions. We have to understand that there are some protocols that we have to follow, what was negotiated with OAS, and we can't stray away from that. So we will continue maintaining and respecting those protocols, because in the eyes of the international community, we have to deal with those issues based on those protocols. As we review our goal number 2, if we have to put more personnel to ensure that we address those issues, we will do that.
One of the things that has always come up as well, sir, the issue down south on the Sarstoon.
We can't address it on our own, because if you know, it is cross-border. So we have to engage the Guatemalan armed forces and by the defense, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has to address it also with the government of Guatemala and the OAS, so that we're able to transit and share the use of the Sarstoon River mutually and with mutual respect.
And as we told you, Prime Minister Briceño finally released the list of the CEOs on Wednesday evening. So we wondered if all the formal procedures were completed to make the appointments final. Tapia said, as far as he has been informed, the matter was already placed in the hands of the Governor General.
I'm not sure if there's a swearing in, but what I can tell you is that the Governor General, if he has not signed, he is probably in the process of signing our authority to execute our duties as CEO. But 2 days ago, we were assured by the Cabinet Secretary that that was at the Governor General's desk.
And while the bureaucracy is busy crossing every T and dotting every I, for the men on the ground, they just keep doing yesterday was a good example of this for the Coast Guard, which had multiple simultaneous missions to carry out, including the rescue of one of their patrol teams, which we told you about earlier in the news. Here's what the acting commandant had to say about how their Thursday went.
Well, several things were going on yesterday. You know, we have the human assistance disaster relief operations going on. Currently, our main effort is in Crooked Tree Village, but we're also providing assistance to NEMO in some of the rural areas and in some of the immediate areas of Belize City, surrounding Belize City, 8 miles, for example, in the Belama area, and we've been working very closely with the Belize City Council as well, with the Office of the Mayor. So we've been engaged in numerous operations. So yesterday, after concluding that rescue operation, we still had to move to Turnef to continue that initial mission. And we also are in the process of trying to locate a missing individual down south, an American national who is currently still missing. We have 2 patrols that are out conducting that search operation. We also had a situation up north as well, where there was a distress call from a Mexican vessel that we had to deploy to from Station San Pedro. So we were fully engaged yesterday.
And back to Belmopan, the government brass is clearing the way for agro-producers to get their product to the market. Today in Belmopan, the newly named CEO in the Ministry of Agriculture, Food Security and Enterprise, Servulo Baeza, along with his minister, Jose Mai, met with the Commissioner of Police to discuss how the curfew will affect agro-producers. The ministry is trying to ensure that impact will be minimal on the productive sector, since the producers will need to move essential goods during the curfew hours. Also present at the meeting was Rodwell Ferguson, the Minister of Public Utilities, Oscar Requena, Minister of Rural Transformation, and Orlando Habet, Minister of Climate Change and Disaster Risk Management. That was part of a packed schedule today for Minister Ferguson and his new CEO, Marconi Leal Jr. They also went on a familiarization tour of utilities under their ministerial portfolio. They met with the executives of Belize Electricity Limited, Belize Telemedia Limited, and Belize Water Services Limited. All of these public utility companies were nationalized under the Barrow government. A government press release says the visits acquainted Ferguson and Leal with the companies, and it also served to identify opportunities for growth and development in the utilities and logistics sectors. Ferguson and Leal also met with the Public Utilities Commission and the Belize Port Authority. And so, while the new government seems to be getting to speed, as we've been reporting, they have a huge mandate to live up to. Their victory at the polls 16 days ago, is one of the largest swings ever. How large? With the help of the folks at TBSL, Jules Vasquez looked at the enormity of the blue wave.
In general elections since independence, the UDP have won 5 and the PUP have won 4. As this graphic prepared by TBSL shows, in the 80s and early 90s there were changes of government with landslide victories, like 1984's 21-7 margin for the UDP. But the first real blowout was in 1998 for the PUP, 26 seats to 3, a blue nation with 2 small specks of red in the city and 1 in the west. The next big blowout came in 2008 when the UDP routed the PUP with a 25-6 margin. This time, the map showed a red nation with a chunk of blue for the PUP in Corozal and a few city strongholds. Then the next huge swing came 16 days ago on November 11th, blanketing Belize in blue once again. 26-5 for the PUP, with a swatch of red in the north and a scattering of 4 small seats in the city. It's the second largest swing ever, an 11.66% loss in support between elections, fractions of a percentage point less than what the PUP lost in 2008, when their swing was 11.85%. 38.34% is also the lowest percentage of support either of the mass parties has received in Belize's post-independent history. Because even in the 1998 wipeout, the UDP still got 39% of the electorate to support them.
On Tuesday, 29-year-old Charles Young escaped an attempt on his life with only a graze to his back. An 18-year-old has now been accused of pulling the trigger. Dimitri Gordon was arrested and charged for the crime of attempted murder, use of deadly means of harm, and wounding. The incident occurred just before 3 in the afternoon on Ordonez Street. Young was exiting a vehicle with another man when they were approached by 2 men. One of them said, "I can't kill you," and pulled out a gun and fired several shots. Young and the other person took cover inside the vehicle. He shot his brother, who threatened him with a machete. And tonight, 38-year-old Eduardo Perez is in police custody while investigators decide if he should be criminally charged. Police say that around 5:15 p.m. yesterday, they visited the Northern Regional Hospital, and that's where they found 32-year-old Silverio Perez, a resident of Trinidad Village in the Orange Walk district. He was suffering from a gunshot injury, which was allegedly inflicted by his older brother. Initial investigation revealed that Eduardo Perez was at his home with his family in Trinidad when his brother, Silverio, entered his yard. Silverio was reportedly armed with a machete, and he appeared to be under the influence of alcohol or some other drug. Silverio allegedly shouted, "I will kill you now." That caused Eduardo to quickly pull his licensed shotgun, and he fired a shot at Silverio, which inflicted a non-life-threatening injury. After getting shot, Silverio Perez quickly ran away to a nearby cornfield where he collapsed. Police responded, detained Eduardo, and confiscated his licensed weapon. They are in the process of determining whether he should be criminally charged for the shooting or not. The 2 brothers reportedly have an ongoing land dispute. In this segment, we've been telling you about new ministers getting up to speed. Yesterday, one more, André Perez, the Minister of the Blue Economy and Civil Aviation, gave his first official speech at a ceremony that was held at the Coastal Zone Training Room in Belize City. At this event, the Fisheries Department handed over COVID-19 safety equipment for the fishing cooperatives and the private sector seafood processing facilities. That equipment included 7 COVID-19 testing units, sanitizing supplies, and 2 laptops. The donation was done through the regional project titled Integration of the Value Chain in Fisheries and Aquaculture, which is a regional project being implemented by the Central American Fisheries and Aquaculture Organization. Here are a few excerpts from that ceremony.
As you know, the integration of the value chain in fisheries and aquaculture project is a 2-year project executed by OSPESCA attached to SICA. To implement the project, the government of the Republic of China, Taiwan, committed to sponsor $1.5 million US, and the regional counterparts contributed together $250,000 US. As Taiwan's strong allies in Central America, these 4 countries, Belize, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua, we believe, will definitely benefit hugely from this meaningful project.
I'm now the Fisheries Administrator for 20 years. And I can tell you that my experience with the Republic of China, Taiwan, has been an absolutely pleasant one. It's been a beneficial one to our sector. Over the years, we have realized countless interventions from your government to strengthen the management and the development and sustainable use of our fisheries resources. And this project that we're celebrating today is just one of many interventions that your government has contributed to. We look forward to now, as we now chart a new strategy, a more consolidated strategy in the blue economy, to more cooperation with your government. Despite the challenges that we've had both globally and domestically, fisheries still remain a significant contributor to our national economy. In 2019, we saw an increase in fisheries production of about 20.8%, which resulted in total revenues for our capture fisheries sector of just over $21 million US. That also benefits directly some 3,000 licensed fishermen in Belize. And when you look at our national population, that is significant.
Working together with the fisheries sector, we intend to take the advantage of the great potential of this sector for increased economic activity. Investing in the preservation of our marine reserves while promoting responsible marine tourism is another important responsibility of our new ministry. We are very keen on making sure that all the necessary diverse components are in place so as to give our communities and our people the quality of life they rightly deserve. The Incav Pesca project, through its promotion of production, diversification, improved quality and safety of artisanal fishing and aquaculture products, has advanced the process of integration and the harmonious development of the fishing and aquaculture sectors of the SICA countries. Today, I am elated to be joining in celebration of this project's achievement and its contribution to the economic and social development of the participating countries. Ladies and gentlemen, it's no exaggeration when I say that COVID has magnified the vulnerabilities of small developing countries like Belize. It has served to show us that we need to look for new and innovative forms of economic growth. The blue economy is the best example.
This regional project is being funded by Taiwan in the sum of US $1.5 million, in which Belize, Honduras, Guatemala, and Nicaragua are beneficiaries. Last night, we told you about the lawsuit from Dr. Adelita Zaiden against the Karl Huschner Memorial Hospital. She is suing them for a little over $1.3 million in damages. She is asserting that the hospital's Board of Governors did her an injustice when they wrongfully terminated her as the hospital's chief of staff and the ear, nose, and throat specialist. We were having difficulties in finding out what happened when the case went before Justice Lisa Schumann yesterday for a case management conference, which was virtual. We understand that the attorney for the KHMH asked for leave to amend their defense against Dr. Zaiden's claim. Leave was granted, and KHMH must file that amendment by December 10th. The claimant will also be allowed to amend its reply by December 21st. Disclosure in the case is scheduled for January 18th, 2021, and witness statements are to be filed by February 8th. After that, these steps are carried out. The case will progress to pretrial review, which is scheduled for February 23rd, 2021. Christmas is less than a month away, and while the COVID-weary may be squinting at decorations and wondering if we can even have Christmas in a pandemic, many are eager, even excited for the glimmer of joy promised by the last holiday of the year. And this morning, when I hit the streets to sample the mood, I found divided opinions of some Scrooges and those who, despite COVID, still await for their Christmas done.
You looking forward to Christmas?
Yes, ma'am. Christmas is always a time for jolly and family members coming across your house and things. It is what it is, and you move on from there, miss.
So far, right, I don't really feel Christmas right. Right now, I got a lot of things for the focus on, so I don't really feel Christmas, but I also want to live up to semi-Christmas, so same way too, but and that's something I really feel.
Christmas, I just want that day for an old man like me, and somehow I don't think he can be a good one this year.
I think I have a good Christmas. None of the people because it's rough. Nothing that happen. I don't know how I say Christmas, maybe I must say I eat dog for Christmas.
My birthday is 30th of November, my birthday is come right now. I'm born at Christmas. I love Christmas, but Christmas never be the way that it used to be. Hardball, we don't have nothing. All the pantry gone, what may I eat?
Daily Belizean thing, right? Yeah, so that's how I look forward to.
You looking forward to Christmas?
Not really, because because of COVID-19, we have to stay 6 feet apart, stay with a mask, no social gathering.
Of course. I'm a family man. I have two. I have my daughter and my son, and my wife to deal with. So, of course, Christmas now is a big thing in my home.
If I am here, I worship Christmas every day. But if I live to see 25th of December, I give God some Jesus Christ respect.
Because it's a family time. It doesn't matter what's happening around us. It's the joy you have in your heart and the love you have with your family. So we're definitely getting ready. My daughter already put up the Christmas tree.
Maybe others will want to, the bashing, the party, etc. But I'm not upon that right now. So I'm not in that. As speaking for me, I'm not on that right now. But to be honest with you, I'll take one day at a time. Christmas will take care of its own self. I don't know if we're going to reach Christmas. I don't know if we're going to reach the way how things are going on. So I will not push for any Christmas thing. I will just take my time, etc. I will not shoot that far. I will take it one day at a time at this time.
Christmas is a time of family and friends and sharing, so we just need to adjust to the new norm.
And while we would have wished to end the news on that slight up note, sadly, the news coming out of the office of the Director of Health Service tonight is grim and foreboding. 10 COVID-related deaths were recorded today, which ties the record reported in a single day. But it is important to note that not all of them died today, but rather they were all identified today. The deaths are of 7 males and 3 females. 3 from Cayo, 1 in Belize City, 2 in Toledo, and 2 from Orange Walk. There are also 72 more positive cases, the majority of which, 35, were identified in Cayo. And that's all we have for you on 7 News tonight. Thanks for watching. I am Charisse Halsell. You can see a stream of the news at 7newsbelize.com and on our Facebook page. Remember, the curfew starts at 9 p.m. tomorrow night, so please stay inside. Remember also to wash your hands, keep a social and physical distance of 6 feet, wear a mask, and stay home as much as possible, because the virus doesn't move unless you do. And remember, that the curfew starts tomorrow night. Stay safe and join Indra Craig back here on Monday. Good night and have a great weekend.